Awesome. I have it up on the screen right now. Let me try and get it to you.
But the Twitch delay.
The Twitch delay, so strong. You're absolutely right, sir. There you go. You have all of the draft information for today, so we won't have to do this again. And here we go. So we have game one, Glorious versus Snowflake. We see Glorious on the left side of this pick ban phase and Snowflake on the right side. We start with Glorious ban on Brightwing, and Snowflake follows up with a Stitches ban. What do you think about those bans, ZPs?
Well, first off, Brightwing is becoming a more and more standard ban in high-end comp play just because Brightwing is a bit ahead of other supports, and she does some really horrible things to teams. Not the least of which is her ability to get across the map, but, you break into it a little bit more. Bribe is absolutely killer for momentum. You get a pick on someone or something, and then suddenly, they're bribing one camp that's, in an aggressive spot, and they're taking their safe camp, and you have to deal with a ton of mercs. And more than that, it's just killing her with Blink Heal is hard, and dealing with Emerald Wind is also a pain, so oftentimes just better to get rid of her.
Yeah, definitely. And then the Stitches, I mean, we've all seen the power of the Stitches. Those hooks can just wreck games, win unwinnable teams. That just shouldn't be that result, and Stitches just makes it happen. So definitely understand the bans there. That does leave Tychus Arthas up, though, and we see that those are actually the first two picks that come out. Snowflake gets the Tychus because Glorious first picks Arthas, and then Glorious rounds out the rest of its roster with Tassadar, Kerrigan, Malfurion, and Vala. And Snowflake ends up with Tychus, Falstad, Zeratul, Uther, Tyrael. What do you think of these team compositions in general? Which team did you think maybe got the better end of the draft? What is each team looking for here?
Well, I'd say both teams actually got pretty good drafts here. I'd say Glorious's game plan is definitely more tilted towards the early part of the game. I mean, don't get me wrong, they can still fight in the mid to late game, but Arthas Kerrigan is a comp that usually does better if they can get ahead early. And it's a comp that's pretty good at getting ahead early because if you make one misstep, then, they're both very good heroes at punishing you for that mistake. By comparison, the Snowflake lineup is really, really good at catching people off guard in the mid to late game. For example, a Tyrael ults someone, and then their team goes in to try and deal with it, and then they get void prisoned, and horrible things happen because now the Tychus is ulting, the Falstad's ulting, and you've lost control of your team fight entirely.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking for big AoE engages here from Glorious to get advantage of the AoE lineup there, and you're going to see Snowflake trying to disengage a bit with that, with the Tychus ult, with the void prison, I mean, to deny the AoE engage.
Well, the cool thing about Void Prison is that you can use it in a bunch of ways. You can use it to just split a team outright. You can use it to interrupt combos. It's very versatile. There's a lot of ways of getting value out of it, and it's why Zeratul has really gone up in the competitive ban pick as of late. You see him picked more often and earlier than I think people would expect. Definitely the quickest rising hero in draft lately.
Yeah, definitely. So, let's get into this game, guys. Are you loaded in, locked in at 5 seconds, ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Let's count it down.
Awesome. So we're going to be starting in 3, 2, 1. Hit it. And we're going to be starting here. Oh, 1 second, quick pause. Sound issues again. Sometimes the replays bug that out. Let's fix that up.
Where are we pausing at?
I am at 8 seconds.
All right, I got to 11 seconds somehow.
Okay,
so...
I caught up with you. We
Okay.
ready to go? Count it down again, and we'll do introductions. I'll start with the blue team. 3, 2, 1, again. All right. So here on the blue team, we have Snowflake with Idra on Zeratul, Liquid Sheth on Uther, LZ Gamer on Tyrael, Faye on that Tychus, and Keelax rocking the Falstad.
And for red team, these people that I do not know, hint, hint, we have ZPS on Arthas, we have Galarong on Kerrigan, Soma on Malfurion, Syracuse on Tassadar, and Cothan Luck on Vala.
Awesome. We see both teams just kind of heading mostly to the top side, although blue team has one person heading to the bottom, whereas red team does not. Do you think either team is looking for a fight here, or just maybe skirmishing around the watchtower?
My guess is that Glorious is looking more for a fight, and Snowflake is looking more to punish any sort of overextension. I mean, Arthas Kerrigan is quite good at the early game, so I would expect them to have tempo in the beginning here.
Yeah, it looks like Snowflake is going to try to do the fast push top lane strategy. They're setting up for that. Meanwhile, both teams just have one person in that middle lane. Might find some engagements up here when they go for the fast push. Definitely in favor of Glorious for this first engage. Looks like Snowflake realizes that, backing out of the top lane and giving up that advantage and pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as mentioned earlier, this is definitely the early game advantage goes to Glorious here.
Yeah. So bottom chest spawns, they rotate Zeratul down to help Falstad, and we're going to be seeing what looks like a typical trade. One team gets the full chest on one side, one team gets the full chest on the other side, as long as Team Snowflake manages to actually pick up those coins, which they do. So we're looking in a pretty much exact parity spot. Everybody grabbing XP, everybody soaking lanes, no real fights, some little skirmishes here and there.
An attempt by Glowing there, though. Pretty ambitious. Hard to get Zeratul that quick. And
Yeah,
like to say,
absolutely.
moving Zeratul bottom was great just because there is a chance of catching someone off guard from the cloak and getting a kill there. Smart
Yeah.
move by Snowflake.
It being Tassadar down there, definitely a good call in Glorious, though, because Tassadar is impossible to gank, it feels like, in the early game with the Void Shift and Shield combo.
Oh yeah, Tassar's early game laning is rivaled only by other powerhouses like Tyrael in the early lane phase. He's great.
Yeah. So we see Glorious kind of rotating their Arthas and Kerrigan around looking for picks. Nothing has happened yet. Snowflake has taken one small coin camp on the left top side here, and they're going to have a small coin lead because of that. And actually Glorious taken bottom both camps on you guys, so you guys have a lot of coins here.
Yeah, both teams playing pretty standard, pretty safe. You would thought Glorious would be a little bit more aggressive here in the beginning with Arthas Kerrigan, although one thing Snowflake is known for is great rotation, so I can see why they'd be a little bit more tentative at points there. And as I say that, we have... Sorry, you're the play guy. Go.
Haha! Well, there weren't any plays made right there. They tried, but the old Tyrael sword jump out makes it hard to engage. Oh, ZP's just caught Liquid Chef with that root, but he's going to pull back as Glaurung is in a position to follow up. It looks like we have a 4v3 skirmish here in favor of Snowflake. ZP's getting taken really low. Huge Tychus grenade knocks him back, splits Glaurung off. Glaurung misses the combo, and that is going to be a transfer of a lot of coins towards Snowflake from Glorious.
Yeah, that was a great rotation by Snowflake there. Oftentimes Arthas and, the Arthas Kerrigan comp can be very over-aggressive at times to get kills, and every now and then, if you rotate enough people, you can really punish them for it, and that's exactly what happened there. Great rotation by Snowflake.
Very quick rotation on phase end to get that man advantage in that team fight. So now we see Glorious looking to control the turn-in spot a little bit, put some pressure with the ogres on the bottom side. Your goal here is just basically not to let them get those coins turned in, is what the idea is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of cases it is. It doesn't seem like right now they're looking to do it, because Snowflake could definitely turn in right now. It seems like Glorious is more concerned with keeping tempo, getting their ogres, and honestly in this map, staying even in XP. Like, making moves to stay even with XP is really important, because if you fall too far behind this map, it can be really hard to get back.
Yeah, so we see Team Snowflake just finished their first turn, and they did not, however, deal enough damage to this tier 1 fort in the mid lane to actually get the fort down with the bombardment. So we're going to see them probably try and finish that off after the bombardment finishes, because it's going to be really important to actually break parity here on this experience. We see right now Team Glorious just a small experience lead, 7-6, probably just from the way the lanes are hitting right now. And we're going to look for Snowflake to take advantage back whenever possible by killing that fort.
Yeah, definitely. It's you see it oftentimes where, as you mentioned, teams hit the early tower to get the fort, but oh, we have a mule by Soma. That's actually going to make it harder to go for that middle fort.
Oh, absolutely. If Team Snowflake does not punish that fort very soon, that mule is going to heal it up almost to full, and they're going to have a hard time taking advantage of that first bombardment. On this map, the mule is really just clutch for denying the incremental damage that those bombardments do. It makes it a lot harder to end the game strictly with the cannons.
Yeah, I never thought about it too deeply, but, even though Malfurion is one of the weaker supports right now, that's definitely one of the upsides in him, is that he can get Mule without crippling himself to the extent that, say, Brightwing would if she were to go for it. I mean, she pretty much can't go it because of how good regen rate is.
Absolutely. So here we see another chest split. Snowflake taking bottom chest, Glorious taking top chest without much contention. And Glorious finishing up a turn in here, so they're going to get damage on the mid fort, retaliate, one turn in to one turn in. Oh, Syracuse almost going down here. Glaurung reinitiates on Kelax, who gets rooted, but the flyaway just barely goes off, and the Envenom will not be enough if Z taps that Moonwell.
Kelax is in fear for his life there. Luckily for him, Roots does not interrupt flyaway. Roots stops a lot of things, but does not stop channeling getaway abilities like False Step Fly or Brightwing Teleport.
That is really funny. He just barely made it out of there with the last bit of health. We see a night camp on top side for Snowflake. Kothanuk's gonna be pulled up there to try and deal with that. Meanwhile, Glorious putting pressure on the bottom lane with a night camp. It looks like Snowflake is not interested in trying to get anything to do with these night camps. They don't want to check in there. They don't know exactly what's going on. They might go for a turn in here. They have 11 coins in the vicinity, but it doesn't look like he wants to channel. And we're going to see Glorious hit level 10 before Snowflake, which is really important. Let's see if they make anything with that. And Snowflake finally managed to turn in their 9 coins. So they're going to have those in the bank. Can't be stolen from you if the Pirate has them. And we just see some aggression here from Glorious on the bottom lane with those Knights.
You know, you're seeing that more and more in this map where teams do try and make more of their Knight pushes for just, at the very least, getting the towers and gate down, but oftentimes more if teams mess up in defending. Just because, you know, on this map, and every bit of buildings that you get down without using coins means that your coins are more effective at getting the harder targets.
Yeah. Glad we're going in for Initiate there on Idra's Zeratul, but he doesn't manage to hit anything. Zeratul retaliates with the Void Prison on 3. Let's see how Snowflake wants to follow this up. It doesn't look like they have people in position, so they're just going to let them come out of the Void Prison. Tyrael trying to flank on the top side, but not able to get around fast enough. And this team fight is going to be sketchy for Snowflake. With no Void Prison up, it's going to be hard to work their team composition, although Kerrigan ult is down as well, so a fair 4-4. Army of the Dead popped, huge Uther Stun on Kerrigan. LZ Gamer targets Cottonluck with the Judgment, but Cottonluck doesn't go down due to the big heals. Idra getting out with that blink. However, Liquid Sheth falls down to the focus fire of Team Glorious. The Archon Kerrigan dealing too much damage, and it looks like Team Glorious is going to take this fight and get the fort with a clean 1-for-0.
Yeah, and, you know, really the way it went down just kind of showed that chasing into an Arthas team is still pretty rough at times. It does a lot of AoE damage, and if you can't cleanly get on the Kerrigan, it makes it rough to get on targets without, you know, just horrible things happening. I think that if Void Prism was up going into that, it might have been a different fight, though.
Absolutely. If Soma hadn't been able to save Cottonluck from that initial Judgment, Focus Fire, very different team fight without that full duration strafe. And here we see Glorious trying to take advantage of their 2-level lead here. Glowing does get overextended and go down to the Tychus Spray and Pray, and Tyrael smashing. So now Glorious is going to have to fall back, not able to kill that fort like they had hoped. Although they don't lose any coins here, so not the most devastating loss.
I think in the end, they just thought they had more time to go after that than they really did. I mean, at times, especially early on, teams even, you know, that are accustomed to gameplay flow can get a little bit out of sorts and think that they have more time to do stuff than they can, and, you know, people die as a result of it.
Absolutely. The transition time from bottom to mid lane is quite long on this map, so it can get a little wonky in those early game short death timers. Here we have Snowflake sneaking a Grave Golem. Really aggressive play after taking out that Kerrigan for free. It looks like they're going to get this without any contention from Glorious. Now, early in the game, these Grave Golems are not that powerful, but it does give them 2 coins and put pressure on. So we're going to see how Snowflake tries to take advantage of the fact that Glorious is going to have to pay attention to this top lane.
I think Glorious might just be not paying attention to the golem just for the reason you just said here. They do not look interested at all in defending it. Instead, they seem to have their eyes on the coins and perhaps a turn-in.
Yeah, they're definitely going to take control of both chests here, which is really good, although that means they have a ton of coins on them. I mean, we see almost 20 coins stacked up here on Glorious. If Snowflake can manage to take a good fight here, that would be huge for them, although they have to get to this turn-in before ZP's finishes. If he gets those 9 coins in, that's going to be bad for them. Grave Golem on the top side doing a little bit of damage, but not enough to justify losing a bombardment. Void Prison goes down, 2 targets inside. Sheth trapped himself. Odin dropped. Lightning comes across 1 target. ZP's going low, but not getting the kills you want. Meanwhile, Kerrigan getting a huge engage on the back line. And it looks like Team Snowflake just getting demolished here. Going in on that Arthas. Didn't manage to blow him up. He gets to full heal off of those ghouls. And the back lane just got crushed out by Glaurung's Kerrigan over the wall there.
Yeah, the over-the-wall stun by Glaurung was great. I think he got 2, if not 3 people in that. But more than anything else, it shows that just going in on Arthas is really, really tricky. Definitely the more execution-heavy team is on Snowflake's side right now, because if you don't go in perfectly, Arthas just sort of hits R repeatedly, and it's just hard to go in on his team.
Yup. And the Void Prison used before the fight not being as effective as they would like to isolate certain targets. If they had that Void Prison up during the fight to maybe isolate the backline away from the front line and they could kill Arthas, that would make sense to me, but that initiation on Arthas post Void Prison just doesn't seem like it's going to get it done, and we can see that team fight not going Snowflake's way. Glorious gets a bunch of kills. They get another turn in. They now have a 2-level lead. Night Camp on top side. Bombardment going down. They might kill this fort top side and get 16 off of this. Snowflake is in a really, really bad position in this game now.
Yeah. And right now, Glorious actually has no problem just going up and just taking this fort. You know, yes, it's getting bombarded, but the more damage you put on it, the more coins, or the more the shots go towards other targets, and really, Snowflake not able to do anything to stop it there. And just knowing the Arthas thing from before is that really the ideal engage for Snowflake here is to, you know, Void Prison the backline and kill the Arthas before he can run to the Void Prison. Because in the last fight, the Arthas are just content to run into the Void Prison, and then it's, you know, you can't focus him down with the Void Prison in there. It's like he's stuck in there like everyone else.
Yeah. So, Team Snowflake just doing their safe camps, getting as many coins and experience as they can. They definitely are trying to play this defensively. They don't want to let Glorious get more of an advantage, but they're just trading small camps in exchange for night camps that Glorious is taking. Glorious has far more coins on their characters. How do Snowflake get back in this game when they're at this big of a disadvantage? 3 levels, a bunch of forts. What do they do?
Well, really the way teams come back on this map, and let me just be honest, teams do not come back as often on this map than other maps, because they have to force a fight that's really, really good and on their terms, which means, you know, usually, you know, ambushing a team at a point where they're, you know, they don't know where the other team is. However, teams know that now, they're wise to that, so it's probably why you're seeing Glorious being more on the conservative side right now and really not taking risks and just sort of sitting on their Dragon Sword of Gold, turning it into getting stuff on their side of the map and going from there, because in the end, it's on Snowflake now to make a huge play, not on Glorious. They can just go autopilot for the win here.
Yeah, Glorious can definitely play the really safe 5-man on their side of the map, grind the enemy team out with the bombardment strategy, and they even have mercenaries pushing topside. Meanwhile, Snowflake just managed to get their second fort of the game and catch up level 15, but they're still down a level and some of the most powerful talents in the game with that 15 to 16 gap. So Snowflake knows they can't take a 5v5 engagement, and they pull out of the mid area, and they're going to let Glorious get another turn in here, and that's going to cost them big. They're not going to lose the fort to the turn-in alone in the mid lane, but it will take heavy damage and give Glorious an opportunity to push and finish that off.
Yeah. I mean, the level 16 breakpoint is absolutely brutal, especially when going against a Tassar team. I mean, the amount of damage Tassar gets from, you know, 15 to 16 is huge, and in general, especially on this map, you really don't want to fight, you know, when you're not at that key breakpoint unless you can absolutely help it or have some sort of great opportunity available to you, at the very least.
Yeah. We see both teams actually playing relatively conservatively here. Snowflake down here wants to deal with those ogres. Glorious decides they don't want to take the 5v5 here, despite the fact that they have that 1 level 1 breakpoint advantage, which is totally reasonable, given that you can just kind of grind your enemy out on this map. We see that bombardment finishing, although it does not manage to take that keep in mid lane at about half health. Glorious looking to turn in their extra 12 coins. Not going to be enough for a bombardment here, but will be enough to secure them a hefty amount of coins in the pile so that even if they lose a team fight, they won't be throwing away a bunch of coins, which is one of the ways to actually lose on this map, even when you're ahead. You give the enemy team 15 coins, all of a sudden they get multiple bombardments and you're in a rough spot.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've seen those sorts of throws all the time, not only you know, in high-end comp games, but just in pubs in general. Let's say, you know, the guy who's trying to be a rock star with, you know, a million coins, and, you know, before you know it, you know, your game where you're 2 levels up and rich, the other team has stolen your Dragon Sword, and you've lost your middle keep to bombardment. It's like, well, crap, where'd everything go so wrong?
Yeah. I may or may not myself have given away 50 or more coins in one fell swoop on this map. I have a bad habit of pretending to be Smaug. However, we do see Team Glorious grabbing that Grave Golem on the top and basically playing really conservative, just not giving Snowflake any opportunity to get back in this game. Although they are now 16, and it looks like they're trying to fight. LZ Gamer going on ZPs. Army of the Dead is popped. LZ Gamer taking a lot more damage than ZPs here, though. Idra Liquid Chef being ineffective at dealing with that backline. We have Kerrigan comboing Faye and Helax, but doesn't get them down. Helax almost gets the ult off, dies to the poison. Coffin Luck getting a huge strafe to clean up this team fight, which Glorious is dominating.
Yeah.
So,
and, you know, the thing I'd say about that is that's still a great attempt by Snowflake. I mean, you know, face value go, oh, you know, this is the fight was one side, but reality is that you have to make something happen, and it's not always going to go well when the other team's higher level. But that was about one of the best engages they were going to take.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Void Prison in the fight to isolate the backline there from Glorious, but it just wasn't quite enough because that Kerrigan was with the Arthas out of the Void Prison, and Kerrigan just honestly wrecked the Falstad, and there was not much he could do about it between the combo, rewind, poison. I mean, Falstad just goes down before he could even get his ult off.
It's not just the Kerrigan either. I mean, one of the most obnoxious things that can happen as a ranged DPS is to have an Arthas just walk up to you and stay on you. Particularly, you know, hero like Falstad that really has no choice but to run, and then he's snared, and it's just a mess if backline collapses like that.
So we see Glorious taking a commanding lead in coin count on them at the moment. Again, they have 20 plus coins. They're just getting ready to turn in as soon as bombardment finishes. And Snowflake at this point, they're forced back in their base. They're dealing with all sorts of mercenary camps. There's just not much they can do here. They're not allowed to leave their base because the mercenaries, all the lanes are pushing against them. They are in a rough spot, and if they don't deny this turn in, they're going to be down another keep. And from there, probably lights out.
Yeah, this is really the no-win situation that you get put into in Blackhearts in the late game when you get behind, is that you want to deny turn-ins because turn-ins will end the game. But if you focus on the turn-ins and you lose merc camps and the mercs cost you the game, it really takes sort of threading the needle to make something happen at this point.
Yeah. We see ZP's walking up here. Looks like he wants to take an engagement. Turns on that Frozen Tempest, but doesn't manage to catch anyone out yet. Just scares him away. Meanwhile, Team Glorious still has that top and middle lane and bottom lane pushing thanks to catapults and ogres on the bottom side. So Snowflake's going to choose to go down here to this bottom lane, deal with the ogres. Meanwhile, Glorious pulls back. Looks like they're heading to their night camp. They just want to take the really secure mercenaries, clear them out, get the coins so they can set up for another bombardment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, right now the pressure is on Snowflake to make something happen. Glorious can really just sit back and grind things out and win off that. So Snowflake needs to take a big engagement here and hopefully, you know, give someone in the back line, maybe make something happen. But it's going to be hard.
And Snowflake playing so defensively that they don't even get the night camp on the bottom lane to counter the top lane night camp by Glorious, just because they're so scared of that fight. But if you don't take those risks, although here's the Void Prison, it looks like they want something to happen. Liquid Death running in the Void Prison so he can stun them as soon as they come out of it. Trying to focus down the Arthas, but even with Kerrigan and Odin, they don't have enough damage. Meanwhile, LZ Gamer and Liquid Chef just going down to the full 4-man Glorious Gaming backline, and that's going to be another team fight victory for Glorious. Their team composition looking incredibly powerful in those full 5v5 team fights.
Blue team's core be under attack.
And this looks like it will be the game-winning push. They have 5 people in the enemy team down. They're charging in 5 strong. I don't think there's any way that this core doesn't go down.
No, definitely not.
That is going to be GG for Glorious Gaming, taking a victory over Snowflake in this first game of Week 2, Day 2, ECS.